Okay, guys. So today we will talk about exceptions and we will talk about that assignment that I gave you related to reading that CSV file and creating records. So let's get started with the exceptions first. So basically, what are exceptions? So exceptions are whenever there is an error occurs, then your program completely stops. So in order to continue with the remaining program, you have to handle the exception. And the way to handle the exception is using a try-catch block. Okay, so whatever code that you think can result into exception. So exception may or may not happen. It not always an exception will happen. There might be a scenario that an exception has occurred. So in order to handle that exception, you're going to have a catch block. And based upon what type of the exception it is it a DML exception? Is it a query exception? Is it a null pointer exception? Whatever the type of exception it is, you can either have a catch block of that type or you can have a generic catch block of the type exception. So all the exceptions will land into this block. So catch block will get executed if an exception has occurred. Now, if the exception there is, let's say there is one line, two line, and three line. If exception has occurred at line number two, the execution of the program will jump from line number two to the catch block. And then once the catch block execute, it does not go back to this try block. It will continue with the statements after the catch block. So what are exceptions? Exceptions are basically the errors, runtime errors that occur when something unexpected happens during your code execution. So these are the runtime errors, such as if you have a number which are dividing by zero or querying a record that doesn't exist or inserting a record that violates a validation rule. All these things will result into an exception. Now, Apex provides a structured way to handle these errors using try, catch, finally blocks, ensuring that your program does not abruptly stop. So what you're going to have is you're going to have a try block. Along with the try block, you will have a catch block. And then if you want, you can also have a finally block. Now, finally block will get executed no matter what exception occurs or it doesn't occur. Finally block will always get executed. Catch block will only get executed if an exception has occurred of that type. Any questions so far, guys? It is similar to what we talked about towards the end. There was a couple of people who said they couldn't hear me properly, so I'm just repeating few things.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So assume we have an exception, right? We have try and catch, and an error happens. So
Hmm.
if an error happens, and we have a finally um plus two. So if an
Hmm.
error happens, so when it's gonna stop? Is it stop at the exception or it?
It will continue with the entire program until your whole stack has been called. So, for example, let's say you had an error. There is a try block, but what's happening is this particular class will also be called through another class, right?
Right.
So after this try block, if an exception has occurred, the catch block gets executed, and then the finally will execute. Then after the finally, the execution will go to the next line after this method has finished running. Or you can pretty much exit out within the finally also. You can say, hey, close everything and just return back. You can do that. Or you can basically go back to the next line of this method, which is of let's say this is the code. You've method one has been called, then the method two has been called. Now let's say in the method one an exception was thrown, you executed the try block, catch block got executed, then finally got executed, and the next line is method two. So method two is the one which will be called. Or if you don't want to do anything after the finally, let's say you want to send an email to notify that an exception has occurred to the members, and then you basically exit out of the whole program. You can do that in the finally block.
Gotcha. So,
Okay.
okay. I have a case that so I wanted to go through at any time. It's
Hmm.
just like an integration project. And so when and I have a limitation in terms of the string because that's a long string and it just throws an error because it's over 130 K characters. So how can I manage that to just at any point it goes through and doesn't give me an error or doesn't throw an error?
Okay, so when this so you are saying you have a string and you're trying to put a large characters in a string and that's when the exception occurs. Is that what it is?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And why are you using, so you can only use a string for that? You cannot use, can't you use a different data type?
That's the string. I don't know. Is there any other data types that doesn't go run through the character limit, like
But
one third?
string shouldn't get over with only 130 characters. Oh, have you used blob? BLOB?
Yeah, that's a blob PDF. That's a base 64 PDF. So I convert the PDF to base 64 and then I pass it to another system. But since it and I log it, so and I log it in a custom object. And since the log the log is a long field, like a long text field. And since it passes the threshold of 130K in that long field, it throws an error. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understood the error, but why don't we can, you can send me the error tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow I'm a little busy, but I can take a look at it on the next day and we can see if there is something I can do about it.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay? So, system defined exceptions. So, now there are different types of exceptions. So, there are certain exceptions that are built into Apex and are automatically raised by the system. So, null pointer exception, when does this happen? For example, you have declared a string variable called name and you haven't defined any name. You haven't put name is equals to the Picard, anything like that. So at this point, name has a value of null, and then you are saying name dot of two lowercase. Now at this point, this will result into an exception because name is equals to null, and you are calling a method on a null value. This will result into a null pointer exception. Okay. Query exception, if you are trying to query a particular record and that record doesn't exist in database and you are trying to retrieve that record and put it into an account variable, then if that record doesn't exist, it will throw a query exception. DML exception, if there is an error while inserting, updating, creating records, deleting records, then it will call a DML exception. Math exception, if you're trying to do, let's say, divide by zero, it will result into a math exception. List exception, let's say you have added a list and in the list exception you have added about three elements and so the indexing would be 0, 1 and 2, and you're trying to retrieve the fourth element from this list. It will give you a list exception. Type exception, let's say you have a integer and you're trying to put a string inside of this, it is going to result into a type exception. So depending upon the different use cases, different types of exceptions will be occurred. Now, you can also define your own custom exceptions. Now, why will you define your own custom exceptions? You will define your own custom exceptions is when you want to customize the error that you want to show to the end user. Okay. Or let's say you have business logic, and based on the business logic, you want to throw an exception. For example, if one particular account has more than five opportunities, and if you're trying to create another opportunity for that account, you want to throw an exception. So that way it will give a business logic error that, hey, one account can only have maximum of five opportunities. And if it is more than five, it will result into an exception. Otherwise, it is going to create a new opportunity and tie it to that account. So custom exceptions defined by developers to handle specific business logic errors. So if there is any logic errors based on the business, then you can go ahead and create a custom exception. And the way to create a custom exception is, and you have to extend the class with from this exception class. So any class who you want to create a custom exception, you will extend it from this exception class. How to do that, we will take a look into in a minute, but just understand that if you want to create a custom exception, that class needs to extend from exception class. So exception is a class that is available in Salesforce out of the box, and any class that you want to create a custom exception, that class needs to extend from this exception class. Okay? Any questions so far, guys?
So if we don't want to use like DML exception, we can just use exception to
Yes,
DML
if you
exception.
don't want to use DML exception and you don't know what type of exception it is going to cause, you can just have one catch block and it will handle everything.
Perfect.
Okay? Now, this is how you have to handle your exception. And it is very important to handle the exception, because if you don't handle it, your program is going to end abruptly. And we have seen that yesterday, that if I am trying to insert something and if I have not handled that exception, then what was happening was the program was exiting out with an error and nothing was getting executed. But if you have handled the exception, it pretty much executes it properly, and then statements which have no errors were also getting executed. Okay, so this is how you define an exception. So first of all, any code that you think is going to result into an error, you're going to put it inside of the try block, and then followed by the try, you will have a catch block, and you can have multiple catch block also. Okay, but always remember the generic catch block will be at the bottom. When I say generic, means if there is, let's say, a DML exception catch block, you can put it on the top. Then you can have another catch block for to handle query exception, and you can have another catch block to handle exception, just exception. This order is fine. First this catch, then this catch, and then this catch. But you cannot reverse the order. You cannot have a catch block which handles exception at the top, because after this, the remaining catch block will never get executed, because every exception will be caught by this catch block. So the remaining catch blocks will never get the chance to get executed. Okay? And then you have is a finally block. It will always run no matter an exception has occurred or it hasn't occurred. So anytime you write something in the finally will always get executed. Catch block will only get executed if an exception has occurred. Now, before we go ahead and do this, let's first understand the different examples of what type of exception will occur. So I have a couple of examples created. Okay. So here, tell me what will be the output of this program. So if I go here, developer console, and everybody write it in the chat. Okay, don't speak out loud because I want answers from everybody. Okay, what's going to be the output here? Will this code throw an exception?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it will.
Okay, at what line it is going to throw an exception?
7.
Line number 4.
Line number
Who said
4.
7?
7.
Why do you think line number 7 is going to be the one throwing the exception?
No, I mean the except. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. Number 4, sorry.
Number 4, right? Because
Yeah.
this is the point where you're trying to divide 10 by 0, which is not possible. So this line is going to throw an exception. So what will happen after that? What's going to be the output of the program?
Yeah,
So
finally block executed.
What else? So is the only finally block will get executed?
Catch will get executed
no,
and then finally.
Error.
yeah. First catch and then finally.
Okay,
And what about line
7.
number 5?
We have a system debug too, the result.
It will not go line number 5.
It will not go line number 5. So just write down which lines will get executed. Just the number. I want to see the answers.
Line number?
Just the line number. So you just in your chat, just put the line numbers. Everybody, what line numbers, which 2 debugs? I'm saying there out of these 3, how many debug statements are going to get executed?
2.
Very good, very good. 7 and 9, excellent, excellent. Error at 4, 7 and 9, very good. Okay, so everybody gave the right answer. Now, if I would have changed it to query exception, now what's going to happen?
Only line will get executed.
Yeah.
Okay, what will get executed?
Just the final.
Line number 9, final block.
The final block.
Nope. That's correct. Incorrect. Anybody else? See, have you handled the exception in this case?
No.
No. So what's
No.
going to happen?
Oh, B.
Program will
finally block will get
abruptly
executed.
and
Program will abruptly and
Abruptly. Yeah,
See
no
here,
execution.
line number 4, math exception, divide by 0. It didn't do anything else. It got abruptly ended because you have not handled the exception correctly, because this is throwing a math exception and you have a catch block for query exception. Now I can have another catch block here. Okay. And here I can say math exception E, and then here I can say okay, now which lines are going to get printed?
Number
10
and
10
14.
and 14.
10 and 14. Very good. Excellent. And what about if I have this? Now which lines will get printed?
10, 14, and 16.
16.
Because this will also, because it will be not this one, because it is in the try block. Once the execution has come to this catch block, then what's going to happen is it's just going to continue after that. So if I go ahead and execute it, you will see this is going to be the output. Math exception occurred, divide by 0, finally block executed, and I'm out of try catch block. Now the next example, let's do that. Pretty simple. Okay, now what's going to be the output?
Number 5, DML failed.
Very good. Because account name field
Doesn't
is
have
not there,
last
so
name.
that's why it's a required field. And since you haven't provided the required field, a DML exception will be thrown. Okay. Now the next one is okay. Now I have a question for you guys. So this account doesn't exist, non-existing account. Okay, we don't have this account existing. And if I did, there is a difference. If I did list of account, now, first of all, tell me if this account doesn't exist, is it going to cause an exception, this piece of code?
No, we have an empty list.
Okay, anybody else have any other suggestions?
Account will not have anything, any return.
But is this code going to throw an exception or not?
Yes, because there's no
Well, because I
count.
don't get messages there, right?
Yeah, but list is valid. It's an empty list.
Very good.
Should not.
So see, this code is not going to throw an exception. Why? Because a list can have 0 values. I am putting it inside of a list. A list can have no records. It is okay. So in this case, no exception will be thrown. So if you see here, it won't execute the catch block. Nothing like that will happen. It's pretty much nothing is going to happen because your catch block didn't get executed. But if I had something like this, now if that account doesn't exist, will it cause an exception?
Yes.
At this point, it will cause an exception. Why? Because you're trying to retrieve a record and that record doesn't exist. So this one is going to result into an exception. And what type of exception it is? It is a query exception. So at this point, if you try to execute it, this time you're going to get a query exception. So did you understand when you have a list, then it doesn't give you an exception. But when you have a single object there, that's when an exception will occur. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
And Deepika, any reason for this?
Because see, this particular one is a single entity. And you're trying to put this query is resulting into nothing. And when you're trying to put this is how Salesforce works. When you're trying to put a account record with this query results, it is going to throw an exception. But when you put it in a list can have 0 records. So that's why in that case, an exception doesn't occur. But in this case, an exception will occur.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Because
what if you had, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
What if you had, let's say, a list that you wanted to load in, a list of accounts, and some of them were existing within that list? And how would you get the exception? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so no, I didn't get you. So what you're saying, let's say I have a list here.
Yeah, let's say you had a list, and let's say it's like 10 records, to 10 accounts, but 2 of them are missing. So how would the catch work? How would it get the error from that list that the 2 accounts are missing? You know what I'm saying?
But see, this list can have, you haven't set up the size of the list. So that list can hold 8 records or 10 records.
Right.
So how does list know when to throw an exception? So it won't throw an exception.
So how would you deal with that if the account was missing or wasn't there? Would it just
Okay, so
it will
then,
just load the right?
so for example, then it is what you're talking about is a list exception, right? So
Yeah.
let's say right now this account is giving you, imagine 10 records back. Okay. And let's say we will print the value system.of_debug size of list plus acc.of_size. Now, in this case, it is going to give you, let's say how many records it's going to give. We have total of 15 records. Okay, so the indexing will work from where? Indexing will work from 0 to 14. 0 to 14, right?
Right.
So now if you try to do system.of_debug element at index of 15, that doesn't exist because your indexing is only from acc.of_get 15. Now this line, will it throw an exception?
Yes, it should, because
It
it's
will,
over
yes.
the limit.
And what is the type of the exception in this case?
Numerical or
List.
It's a list exception.
List
It's a
exception.
list
It's-
exception.
yeah, list
Okay, so
exception.
this is going to cause a list exception because you're trying to access an element which is out of the index. So since the size of this account list is about 15, so the elements will be from 0th index all the way till 14th. There is no element after 14th index. You're trying to access an element at the 15th index. That is why it is going to throw an exception. But in real world, you will never do something like that. What you're going to do is if you have to retrieve an account record, all you're going to do is going to write a for loop and you will iterate over every element of this account list. So you won't come into a list exception. But if your list itself doesn't has any records and you're trying to access an element at index of 0, that will result into a list exception. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you have map or set, is it the same thing, same list exception, or is it different?
That's a good question. No, so in set, you don't have indexing, right? Remember that? In
Yes.
set, you don't have indexing. So that list exception is only valid for list.
For list. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Thanks.
Okay. Now this is the simple one. So you can see here at what line an exception will occur. So here, okay. Now, will this cause any exception?
Yes, it
Mm.
will.
Okay.
Because the loop is going through fourth element and list does not have fourth element.
Very good. And why is that?
Because we have just 3 elements, apex and
No, so
S.
what should I fix in this to not throw the exception?
Yep,
Yes,
so,
yeah, go ahead, please.
yeah, so for the condition where you have mentioned I less than or equal to names.size, we just have to remove the equal to sign.
Very good. Very good. What was the question? Somebody had a question. Was it Avnish?
No, Deepika, I'm fine. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, good.
Okay.
So here, this particular code will result into an exception. Now, the reason it is going to result, because see here, you have said I is equals to 0, I less than equals to names.size. Now, what is names.size is going to give you?
3.
3. And then you are printing names of I. So will it, at one point, it is going to ask you to go to names of 3. Does name of 3 exist in this list?
No.
Because this is at
Doesn't.
index 0, this is at index 1, this is at index 2. So there is no element at index of 3, and that is where you're going to get list index out of bounds. Okay, and the exception that will be called is the list exception.
Right. But generally, when we have a for loop, like a traditional for loop, we don't use equal, right?
Yes, we don't. We will usually either use names.size or you will use something like this, for, and then you will say string names or string name colon names. This is the loop generally used just because you don't want to get into this I less than equals to. So this is the most convenient loop to use for
Gotcha.
list, set, and map.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Now, how do you create? Let's do this one. Let's do this example, and then we will talk about custom exceptions. Okay, guys. So tell me what will be the output of this program?
There is no matching from.
Okay, so one person is saying no matching account. Anybody has any other answers?
We have the DML operation field too, because the name is no. Actually, that's a good call because we we have a DML operation failure too.
But how does the code works?
It will be top to bottom. So whenever we get the first thing, it will get
Yeah, so no
executed.
matching account.
Very good.
Yeah.
So in this case, it doesn't matter how many lines are causing exception. Because this is the first line that caused the exception, it won't even go to this line and this line. And what kind of exception it has caused? It has caused a query exception. Now, which is the catch block that will get executed? This catch block will get executed. So it will say no matching account. Okay, nothing else will be displayed. So if I go here, execute, you will see only one catch block got executed called no matching account. Okay, now if I go ahead and do something like this, now what's going to be the output of the program?
That's DML exception.
Very good, DML exception. What about this catch block? Will it ever get executed?
If it is any other exception, then it will get
Yeah,
executed.
any other
Very
exception.
good. Not at this point. Okay, it doesn't. What happened here? Oh, because I was doing account dot of name, that's why. So here, if I do account, this is going to result into an error, but let's see. List index out of bounds. That was the first error it gave because I was trying to do, this is an empty list. So here I'm going to go ahead and do this. This will work. You can see here DML operation failed and it is telling you name was the required field and you haven't given that required field. Now,
Gotcha.
next important, yeah, anybody has any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So in real world scenarios, do we use different kinds of exceptions?
Yes, we do. We do. Because you don't want to put everything into one catch block and just handle it, right? So you would probably will have different multiple catch block to handle the type of exceptions.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. What is a custom exception in Salesforce and why do we need it? A custom exception is an exception you create yourself when you want to handle specific business logic errors that the standard exceptions like null pointer, DML don't cover. So, for example, if you have a certain business logic issue that you want to throw to the user, you don't want to throw list index out of bound exception. You want to wrap that kind of exception into a better message, then you will create a custom exception. Or if you have a business rules that you want to follow, and if your code or if the data doesn't follow those rules, then you want to throw a custom error. Think of it like Salesforce gives you general exceptions for system errors, but sometimes you need your own named error to make debugging and error handling more meaningful. So if you want to have better messages to the end user or for better debugging purposes, you will need to create a custom exception. Okay. So when do you want to create a custom exception? You want to handle business logic errors differently. You want to give clear custom error messages to the end user, not some vague list index out of bound exception or null pointer exception. You want to give them, wrap them into a better exception. You want to separate business logic errors from system exceptions. You need to control rollback behavior and flow more precisely. So for these things, you will create a custom exception. Okay, so for these reasons, you will create. Now, for example, if a user tries to approve a record that is already approved, so in that case, you want to throw a better error message saying that, hey, this record has already been approved. You cannot reapprove it. Or if an account has more than 3 active opportunities, your business rule forbids that. So you have to have a better error message saying this account already has maxed out 3 opportunities. Please close one of the opportunities to proceed further. Something like that, right? You want to stop a batch process when data validation fails for a custom reason. So these are scenarios where you will create your own custom exceptions for better logging, for better errors. Okay, now how do you create a custom exception? Very simple. You created whatever the custom exception name you want to create, that particular class has to extends from exception class. You don't have to implement any methods. You don't have to do anything special. All you have to do is this class needs to extend from this exception class. That is all you need to remember. Okay. And once you have done this, then you can throw it like a regular exception and catch and have try catch around it. So let's create a simple exception for an invalid discount. Okay, so let's say I have created an exception here. So I'm going to go ahead and first create this class, invalid discount exception. Okay, so it will behave just like the regular exception. It is just will be a better custom error. File new Apex class invalid discount exception. Okay, this is the name and it extends from the exception class. Okay, that is all I have defined. Nothing else I have defined. Now what I'm saying is I have an order service class. Okay, so I'll create a new class here, file new Apex class, order service. And here I have a method defined. And it has basically apply discount method. Okay. And if the discount is greater than 50, this is the exception that is going to be thrown. Throw new invalid discount exception. Okay. So the name of the exception is invalid discount exception, which is nothing but this name of the class. So you're creating an object of this invalid discount exception. And whatever you are passing in here, that is the message. Okay. And if the discount is less than 50, you will basically print this statement. Now, going back here, I'm going to test it. So how do I test this one? So if I go ahead and I will show you two ways. One is if I have to test this, I'm going to go ahead and say this. So order service class can result into one type of exception, right? You can see here it can result into this. So what I've done is I have enclosed this code into a try catch. Now I am giving a discount of 60. Okay. So if I'm giving a discount of 60, it is greater than 50. So what kind of exception will be thrown?
That the discount cannot be more than 50%.
Very good. So error would be discount cannot be more than 50%. So this is how you create an exception. So all you have to do is your class needs to extend from the exception class. And then wherever you want to throw that exception, you will use this keyword throw. Throw means in order to throw the exception. And throw new of, here what you're doing, you're creating an object of this class. New of invalid discount exception. You're creating an object and then you're passing in the message. So what is going to be the output here?
Discount cannot be more than 50%.
Very good. So this is how you create an exception. And if I didn't have a try catch, now what will happen? If I don't put this code inside of a try catch block, now what's going to be the output?
Can you open the class?
System
So we call the class and then the discount is 60%. It should be the same.
Then what is the point of having a try catch?
Would it make it
line
60?
number.
Would it apply to 60? To be the discount would be 60?
No. So in this case, what's gonna happen is the program is going to end abruptly because you have not handled this exception. So when you try execute, this is how it's going to give you invalid discount exception. Just like when you don't handle it, when you don't have it using a try catch, your program ends abruptly. The same way it will happen is nothing after this will be printed. Okay, but if you have wrapped it inside of a try catch, you can still continue with the remaining program, even if an exception has occurred. But here, you have not have enclosed it in a try catch. Exception occurred, nobody has handled it, so it basically ends the program right away. Now, in this case, if I do 50, what's going to be the output?
again abruptly the program
No,
end
No, it will
it's
apply
gonna
the
run.
discount this time.
because it,
Discount.
Gonna run.
Discount applied.
Very
Line
good.
7?
Yeah,
it
Yes.
is checking less than
gonna
I
run.
mean greater than 50. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, no exception, and it is going to print this else block, which is discount applied. Okay. So did you understand how to create? Because I'm going to give you an assignment tomorrow for these exceptions, how to create a custom exception, all of that. So did you understand how to create an exception? All you have to do is you have to extend that class from exception class, and wherever you need to throw that exception, you will use the keyword throw. Throw is the name of the keyword. Then you will create an object of that class, okay, using the new class name. And then if you have a message, you can pass in that message.
Right.
This is how you throw the keyword, throw the exception.
And there is no limitation in terms of custom
No.
exception.
No, there's no limitation. Now let's do another example. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and create this one, too many open opportunities. File, new, Apex class. This is another class and extends from the exception class. And we will go ahead and create another class here called opportunity service. File, new, Apex class, opportunity service here. And over here, we will create a method. Okay, so somebody needs to explain me what's happening here. Okay, so you have now, I'm gonna go ahead and Linda, let's go ahead with you. Tell me what's going on in this class.
Yep. Public opportunity class. Create an opportunity.
What is create
ID.
opportunity? Is it what is a constructor, method, class, what it is?
It's a method.
Very good.
So we're creating the method and getting the ID, the account ID number, and the string name of it. And we're taking it from a list, an opportunity list. But it says greater open opportunity. So you're creating a list from those opportunities, or there's a list of opportunities with the ID and the opportunity name and the ID, or the name, the opportunity, and where it's coming from, the ID number. So it's got a.
What is this? What are we doing here?
We're selecting or creating the.
Are we
list.
creating or are we what are we doing in this query?
We're getting the opportunity list.
Very good.
And with the name and the opportunity and the ID number for the opportunity, or for the ID for the account number, I should say.
No. So we are retrieving the opportunities. We are retrieving the ID of the opportunity, name of the opportunity, and the stage name of the opportunity for a given account. Okay. So for example, you passed in Burlington account ID. So this is going to give you all the opportunities tied to Burlington account. If you passed in General Republic or whatever the account ID is, it will give you opportunities tied to that account. Okay. Now what are we doing next?
And then we're doing an if statement. We're looking at the size, the size is if it's greater than or equal to 5. Then it's going to throw too many opportunities, or it's going to throw that exception because it's over the limit.
Okay.
So it says this account already has 5 opportunities. Please close some before creating a new one. So it'll only allow up to 5 opportunities to be created.
Okay.
No more than that. And then this is opportunity.
Then what are we doing?
Then it's gonna get that opportunity and load it basically into the list. Right?
No. So what are we doing here?
So we're inserting the opportunity.
Okay.
Okay. So you're getting the opportunity name, you're getting the stage name, the close date, and the
Okay.
account ID that it applies to.
Very good.
And
Okay.
then it's creating the opportunity created successfully
Okay,
message.
that's fine. So now I'm gonna give you this code. So I'm gonna pass in an account ID. Okay, I'm gonna call this. So let's say this is the account. Let's see, what is the account? Okay, so now this is the account and it has one opportunity tied to it. Okay, now in this case, everybody tell me what's going to be the output of this program? You have the code with you, okay? And tell me what's going on here. This is the account and it has already one opportunity tied to it.
It will create a new opportunity linked to that account.
Yes. Yes.
Anybody else have any other answers? Yes. It is going to create a new opportunity record and tie it to that account. Because what we are doing in this example here is opportunity created successfully. And if you go here, you will currently see only one opportunity. When I refresh it, it's going to add another opportunity to this account, opportunity number 2. Okay. Similarly, if you have another account, I'm not sure if I have anything which has 5 opportunities. No, I don't have. But if, let's say, in some cases, if I had an account with more five opportunities, in that case, it is going to throw an exception. So what this particular method is doing, it takes in 2 parameters. One is the ID of the account and then the name of the opportunity. Then we are retrieving all the opportunities that are tied to that account. And then we are checking if the opportunity size is greater than 5. If it is greater than 5, in that case, it is going to throw an exception. Otherwise, if it is not greater than 5, if it is less than 5, then it is creating a new opportunity and adding that opportunity to the account, and we are inserting that opportunity record. Okay. If it was already had 5 opportunities, then it will throw an exception. Once it throws an exception, nothing after this will be executed. Okay. So no opportunity will be created, nothing like that. If it has already 5 opportunities tied to it. If it didn't have 5 opportunities tied to it, it will create a new opportunity record and tie it to the account. All clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we will talk about access modifiers tomorrow, but I wanted to talk about that example.
Deepika,
Yes,
I
yes.
have a question. I mean, it's not really exception one, but like regarding the method, the one that you pass the parameters right now.
Okay, this method, create opportunity.
Yeah. So what if we don't want to pass the parameters? Is there a different way of representing them?
Okay, if you don't pass the parameters, how will it know which opportunities records you want to find it? You have to pass some data to filter the records, right? Or otherwise your opportunity will say select ID comma name, stage name from opportunity. So it is going to basically fetch all the opportunities if you have no filtering on it. The reason we pass these parameters is basically to filter out our records based on our criteria. Let's say, ideally, what's going to happen, if you remember in the other class, ideally, what's going to happen is from the UI, did you remember from the screen flow, you were passing, if you remember in the screen flow, you were selecting the account records, correct?
Yeah.
or the type of the industry or something like that. And then that parameter was passed over to the Apex class, and that Apex class basically did all the computation and returned you back those accounts which belong to that industry. So that parameter is what you're going to be passing it from, either from the UI or from wherever it is. And that is why you have these parameters to capture those values. If you don't provide the parameters in this specific case, how will you do the filtering? If I wanted to do filtering based on the account ID, how will I pass that account ID? Does it make sense?
I mean, these are the variables, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like ID, account ID, and string. So you could have, defined them instead of passing them here, like
How, where? So then you're hard coding it. Right? Inside of create opportunity, I can say account ID is equals to XYZ, let's say, but it is always going to be XYZ. If I want to make it dynamic, every time I want to pass a different value, you have to come to the code, compile it, deploy it to production. It will never work. So you always have to pass those values dynamically, then you will be passing it to the method. Are you getting my point, Hema?
Yeah, but my question is, like, instead of passing the parameters here, you could have defined the variables, and then is what my question actually. I think I.
Oh, you're talking about instance variables?
Yeah. Not instance, it's declaring the variables.
Like you want me to declare the variables here. ID, account ID.
Yeah.
And then string op name. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean,
But
I'm getting confused over here because of those things.
see,
like some of the methods we pass the parameters, some of them we don't. So
yeah, so that's how it is. Some methods will have parameters, some methods won't have parameters. It's pretty normal. Not every method is going to have a parameter, but a lot of those methods will accept a parameter. Parameter is nothing but you're just sending a value to the method. You're sending something to that method, and these parameters are just to hold, these are the placeholders.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Once you do a
Yes,
couple
Renu.
examples, you will understand why do we need, because see here, it is a static method, first of all.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need to create an object of the class. We just created this class name dot of create opportunity, and we passed in the ID of the account and the name of the opportunity that you want to create. If you didn't pass this, let's say we don't pass it, first of all, it is going to result into an error because your method is
Method
expecting
is
to
accepting the
do.
parameters.
Let's say we update the method here also. We get rid of these. Now, the problem is if I want to figure out, I don't want all the opportunities. I only want the opportunities specific to an account. Now here, I don't want to hard code this account ID because every time this method runs, it will only run for that one particular account ID. I want to pass my account ID from the user. Whatever user has entered, that is the value I want to pass. So that is the value I'm going to pass through the method. That's why I have those placeholder to capture those values.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
So now let's go ahead and I wanted to talk about that class. Very simple. It's not too complicated. So if you remember, I'll give you a small, what do you call? I believe this was the one. Okay. So this is the one I have, file to record creator. Now we will look into each of this line and see what we are doing. File to record creator. Okay. Who did this example? Did anybody in the class did it?
Yeah, I did that.
You did it?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Excellent. Excellent, guys. Very good. Okay. So
I
basic,
went through your
which one?
no, this one. I went through your recordings and did it same way.
Okay. Awesome.
Tried it.
Very good. So if you remember, guys, there was an accounts data.csv file, okay, which looked something like this. Where is it? This is the file, which has the first row in the file has name, industry, phone, and website. Okay, that is what this first row had. And then after that, it has the actual data. So what I asked you is basically for every row, create the particular account. So if it is Google, create an account with the name Google, industry, technology, phone as whatever it is given, and website is this one. So based on this sheet, it will create 3 account records. Okay. So first important thing what we are doing is what we need to do is we need to upload this file because somewhere we have to read this file from, right? So the best place is to upload it in a static resource. So let's say what we're going to do is we are going to copy this into an CSV file. So here I'll go to this notepad and I will copy this and I'll call this as accounts.data.csv, let's say. Save as accounts.data.csv. Okay. This is the file I have. Now, the first thing is I need to upload this file as a static resource because that is the place where I will be uploading it and you can read from that static resource. So how will I do? I'll go to the static resources and click on new. Accounts data, choose file. The name of the file is, this is the CSV file, make it public, hit save. Okay, that is a simple thing. So any file you want to read, we uploaded it into the static resource. Now the next thing what we are doing is we are basically select body from static resource where name is equals to account data. So it is accounts data. So I'm going to go ahead and update this code. So it will it will get the body of this resource, which name is accounts data. Okay, so it's just going to get the body. Then what it is doing, it is converting that body to a string. This whole thing, it is converting into a string. This complete file, it is converted into a string. And then what you're doing is each row, how is it split? Like how is each row split? What is the difference between this row and this row? It is with an enter, right? New line. Every row is on a new line. Okay. So what it has done is it basically split it into using this /n. /n means anytime you hit an enter, anytime you hit a new line, you pretty much divide that based on the new line. So what it did was it converted each of this row into a separate list. You can see here it converted into a list. So how many lines are there? There are basically, you have one line, second line, third line, and the fourth line. So it created 4 list, okay, of string. First list has this, second list has all this, third list has all this, and fourth list has all this. Any questions up till this point? So at this point, how many lines are there?
4.
4 lines. So first what it is, it basically reading from your static resource accounts data, then it converted this whole file into a string, and then it basically splitted the string based on this new line. So it converted into each line as a list. So the first line will have name, industry, phone, website. Second line will have Google, technology, number, and the google.com. Third line will have Amazon, all of that, right? Now, which of the line contains the headers? Because you need the headers, right? Because you need to figure out what name would be there, what industry. So the header is available at line number 0, correct? That's the first line. So the header line is line number 0. Then again, what it did, it again splitted this list, which is this list of string, that whole string based on this comma. Okay. You can have different ways of doing this particular exercise, but this is the one I felt it more comfortable with. And you can see here, it basically split it up, this whole thing, into 4 more items. So then list of strings. So the first item had name, the second item in the list had industry, the third item in the list has phone, and the fourth item has website. So basically it divided the first row itself into 4 strings. Any questions so far? So basically it had this file. Okay, so now we have two lists going on right now. One list is the lines. Okay, so lines have one name. Line number 0 has names, industry, phone, and website. Okay, this is your line number 0. Line of 1 has what? It has Google, technology, number 1, 2, 3, and then google.com. This is the second item. Now lines of 2, which is your third item, line of 2, sorry, not 3, is equals to Amazon, retail, number 555, and then amazon.com. And then lines of 3 has Tesla, automotive, number, and tesla.com. Okay. Now it is saying, then you have header line. So what is header line? Header line is equals to lines of 0. So it basically picked up this entire thing. It picked up this entire thing and it split it based on the comma. So headers of 0 has what? Headers of 0 has names. Header of 1, headers, sorry, not 0. Headers of 1 has industry. Any point you're not able to understand, let me know. Headers of 2 has phone. And headers of 3 have, what is the third thing it has? Is website. Now it is creating empty list to create the account. Okay. So it has created an empty list here, ACC list. It is an empty list right now. Okay. So this is an ACC list it is creating. It is completely empty. Now it is looping over lines.size. Okay. So it is going over line number 1. So first time it is going over this line. Then it is saying lines I.trim. Trim means if there is any spaces, it's just going to remove that. So don't worry about this line. We don't have any spaces. If line is equals to completely blank, it will basically skip that and move to the next thing. Okay. Now we are saying columns line.split with this comma. Starts from I is equals to 1, not from I is equals to 0. So it started from this line, I is equals to 1, not from I is equals to 0. So from this line, it is saying, hey, if there is any new line or spaces, just skip it. Otherwise, split. Okay, so what it does, it columns of 0 is this, columns of 1 is this, columns of 2 is this, and columns of 3 is google.com. So it has splitted this whole row again based on this comma. Okay. And then what it is doing, it is basically instantiating a simple account record. And then it is iterating over each element of this headers. Okay, so headers.size, j is equals to 0, headers.size. What is headers.size? Headers has name, industry, phone, and website. So it converted the header to lowercase. So what is headers of 0? It converted name into lowercase name, so it became name. Then what is the value equals to columns dot size greater than j? What is columns dot size? Tell me, what is columns dot size here? Guys, you have to tell me something.
4.
4.
Columns dot size is equals to 4. Is 4 greater than j? What is j? J is 0, right? It's greater. So what is columns j dot of trim? So what is columns of 0?
Is
Name.
name.
What is it?
Name.
No. Columns of 0
G.
is Google, right?
Google.
G
G.
basically
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah. Cool.
So header is equals to name and value is equals to Google. So then if header is name, what is the account dot name? Account dot name becomes Google. So in your account record, it puts the value of name as Google. Then it is saying if the header is industry, if the header is industry means if it is going to the next item, headers, now it will become J plus plus. Now J becomes 1. So 4 is greater than 1. Yes. What is columns of 1?
T.
Very good. Technology, right? Columns of 1 is technology. So then the value, so it converts in, no, so sorry. First is headers dot of J. What is headers dot of J?
Industry.
A is 1, so it's industry.
Very good. Industry. So columns of size greater than J. Yes, it is. So columns of 1 is equals to what?
T. Technology.
Technology. Very good. So now it is checking what is the value of header. Header is equals to industry. So it was going to put account dot industry is equals to value. So in the industry column, it will put technology. So it is filling up one account record. Then J becomes 2. What is headers of 2?
Phone.
Very good.
1, 2, 3.
What is columns of 2?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so now it is checking, is header equals to phone? Yes, the third time. Then account dot phone becomes your phone number. So the phone would be equals to 1, 2, 3. Then it is checking again, J becomes what? So 3. What is headers of 3?
Website.
Website. Now what is value of website? So the columns dot of 3?
Google.com.
Google.com. So then it is checking the website. So last is website. So then becomes website is equals to your Google.com. So it created one account record and it added it to this list. Okay, so if you see here, it added this account record to this list. Then it is going to go to the next line, which is this line number 2, ARSS, which is your Amazon retail. This is your phone number, Amazon.com. So what is the headers will remain the same, right? But your line number has changed now. Your line has become line number 2. What is line number 2? This is your line number 2. Okay, and then it is doing the same thing, headers of 0, headers of 1, headers of 2, headers of 3. And then it is going to the next line, and then it is creating a new account record for every row. Once it has created 3 account records, it is adding those account records to this list. And then it is using the database insert to add those items. Any questions?
Deepika, not regarding this code, but is there any reason we are not using data import wizard or data loader?
No, because see, guys, this was basically to give you a gist of the code. Okay, how your code will look like. Let's say tomorrow for a particular record, let's say you have a form on an account object. Let's say you wanted to upload an opportunities as a file. Okay, now your job is to read the file and add those opportunities through into that account record. How will you do it? You're not going to use data loader for every account. Let's say each one account has 5 opportunities, another one has 3 opportunities, another one has 2. You're not going to manually do it. Let's say you have a file How will you read the file? This was just to give you a gist of real world project where you might have a requirement where you have to read from a file. And it is a very common requirement you will come across, reading from a file. So you should know what to look at. You should look at the header. You should look at how it is being separated. It could be comma delimited. It could be pipe delimited. It could be anything. So this was just to give you an idea of an example that you might come across as a real-time project. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So like most commonly data import that data loader or import wizard will be
See,
used.
data loader
But
and all is good for loading thousands of records. For example, if I said, hey, let's say there is an upload screen on your account object. Okay,
yeah.
you can add that. You create an LWC component, added a file uploader over there. And through that file uploader, let's say you are putting all your opportunity details into that account. So moment you upload the file behind the scene, those opportunities should get created. Now, in this case, you can't use data loader. Because if let's say you can't use it for every account record. So you want to have a code that anytime that file gets uploaded under the account, behind the scene, you read the file and you create opportunities in that file, for that account record. So this was just to show you how you actually have a simple file and you can read from it. And reading file is a very common problem that you will come across.
Okay, makes sense. Thank
Okay.
you.
So this is one example, guys, and slowly we will do an integration project also where you will be sending data to another system, bringing data and all that will come across. But any questions on this code that we did?
No, I use the same method. Just on the
Mhm.
last part, I used trim.
What did you use?
Trim. So this
Oh, trim. Okay.
yeah. And then I use trim to just assign to names, industry phones, and websites, and then
But trim is to remove the extra spaces. Trim doesn't do anything else. It just removes a space before and after. That is the purpose of the trim method.
because it works for me.
Okay, that's fine. But as long as you understood what the code is doing.
Yeah, no, I understood that.
Okay, guys. So I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna yeah, tomorrow we're gonna cover those access modifiers and few more important things. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow then. Any questions before we wrap up for today? I will share a poll for tomorrow just to see how the classes are going on. What's your feedback? Anything you want me to improve on? That'll kind of help you and also help me. So I'll send a poll. Do answer that tomorrow morning, and I'll share the assignment as well. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Great. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Right.